Welcome to Punch Keys Podcast. I'm Poppy Minix, your co-host, bringing you blunt talk for the fiction novelist.
And I'm Cass K, your other writerly co-host. If you love to ramble about writing and need a tribe, you found us.
Are you ready? We're uncorking now. Let's talk about punching those keys.
Bow chicka wow wow.
What episode is this?
Welcome to Punch Keys. And your bow chicka wow wow time.
Yes.
Why on earth would I be setting the mood? Well, for character chemistry, obviously.
Obviously.
Right? That's like the perfect sound effect for character chemistry. You are welcome. You have like a awesome sound effect machine going on here. You're welcome.
Thank you for that, Cass.
Her face is not impressed, guys. Not impressed in the least.
Oh my. Okay, yes.
Obviously, character chemistry, you're going to be thinking of romantic couples, and obviously Poppy's going to take the lead on this discussion. But guys, I am here to tell you there is character chemistry with other types of relationships, and I'm going to poke and prod, and I have thoughts.
Yes,
beware.
I have thoughts too. We have thoughts. Gosh, do we have thoughts on this one? This is such a tough one to pin down and pinpoint and poke at.
Character chemistry. What makes good character chemistry, Poppy? You have like a quick, easy answer and we can be done?
Oh, yes, here it is. Yeah, did you catch all that? That's good.
Yeah.
Thought you might like it. Character chemistry is one of those things where it's like, yeah, you just have it. You just have it, right? You just read it and those characters have it and you just know they have it and there it is. And it's like,
it might feel that way as a
wow.
reader.
It
as
does
a
feel that way as a
writer,
reader. Yeah.
It should be very different.
I really had to sit and think about this one for a super duper long time, is what is it about characters for me? Specifically when I read something that makes me excited about those people. Chemistry between them all spark and be all fiery and need me to read more. What is it that pulls me in and makes me, every single time those people leave a scene, I want them back immediately. And I keep reading through faster and faster to get back to them. And I'm just trying to figure out what in the heck it was between them besides it just being sparks and awesome and great conversation and dialogue. But it's more than that. What do you think, Cass, on that one? I'm so very curious to see, because I think that you know these, like, you have something in your head that is very specific as to what chemistry means, and I am so curious as to see if we're on the same page or not.
I've boiled it down to two factors, and I think both of these factors are applicable in romance and non-romance. Mm-hmm. First of all, I'm going to start with relatable. So I feel like whatever is happening, both characters have to be equally energetic and lively. I actually, I've read an article by K.M. Weiland where she was talking about character chemistry. Mm-hmm. And I really liked it because she's one of the few articles I found that wasn't talking just specifically about romance. It was character chemistry in all relationships, which I do think it's like, obviously you have to have character chemistry in your romantic couples.
Gosh,
I mean,
yes.
That is utmost important. But I also think character chemistry is applicable in all types of relationships. And so two lively characters that are both in depth. Neither of them can be like a cutout cardboard that's there just to prop the other.
Yes.
And so I'm going to go on a TV binge rant here.
Oh, yay.
Grey's Anatomy, Meredith and Christina.
I love them.
They're a hugely fan-based, popular. I think there's just as many people who support this girl-girl friendship as any romance that happens without the series, which is this ongoing series, which, yes, I still watch it, and yes, I'm totally obsessed with Station 19. So I'm a fangirl of this whole Shonda Rhimes, everything. I'm a fangirl. But the thing that's really interesting to me with Meredith and Christina is it's two career-driven women who get in a situation, and the thing, anytime you talk to a fan, they always say, I'm the Meredith or I'm the Christina.
That is so awesome.
Because they're relatable.
Right.
And not one of them is the negative and one's the positive. They're both positive and negative. They both have negative and positive traits. And so there's the fan bases. Half the fan base relates to being Christina and half the fan base relates to being Meredith. Yeah. It's all about being relatable. It's about having a character that your reader, your viewer, your whatever fan is like, I see those attributes in myself. So along with being relatable goes along with this logical path of everything that this their core traits, whatever has to happen has to be believable. So like their friendship isn't just a friendship because you need it to be and the TV series needs it to be. There's like this roller coaster with it. And the roller coaster comes from conflicts that happen because of the differences in their personality. And it's all believable. So when they actually get together and they lean on each other and they trust in each other and there's this friendship, you have a character within the relationship, within this chemistry that you relate to, and their actions are believable to you. Those two factors, I think, is going to create a fan base no matter what. It's huge. Relatable characters that have believable actions throughout the storyline. So their attachment to the other person in the relationship, whether it be a friendship, whether it be romance, whether it be it could actually be a protagonist antagonist.
Yeah, I really like some of those too, sure.
And their push against the antagonist, their resistance to them, their negative reaction to them is believable to the core of the character. And if your fanship is relating to your protagonist, when they have believable actions that fit what they relate to, absolutely beautiful.
I like that a lot.
I have a second point, but I don't want to take over.
Oh, you have a second point? I love why their first point was dead on. I really like that one a whole lot. That's actually one of my points too, is a trust and a relation factor.
Delve into that.
I feel like when you have chemistry between characters, whether they be antagonist, protagonist, whether they be friends, whether they be romantic interest, there's always a point of respect and trust between the two of them. Even if they are poking at each other, even if they're yelling at each other, even if they are angry and pissed off and throwing stuff and they don't understand what the other one is thinking, there's still a respect there. And the reason that they get so hot under the collar and the reason they're so passionate about the way that conversation is going is because they do respect that person so much that they want them to see their side.
I think it's important to say, though, the respect doesn't have to be for the moral standards that the character has. I mean, the respect can be that maybe they're the greatest swordsman ever. Maybe they're the greatest trade barter ever.
Okay, so let's say protagonist, antagonist. Let's say the protagonist is a politician that's fighting for the greater good, and the antagonist is also a politician that's fighting for something that
they're fighting for their, like, cancer child.
Right, exactly. And so but things need to change because of this direction. And they're just not seeing eye to eye, but they both respect the way that the other one is doing something, the way they live their life. They're not necessarily their moral compass, but how good they are at something, or the way that they are charismatic with a crowd, or the way that they are passionate about this specific thing. And they're trying to get each other on the same passion that they are because they need somebody else on their team. They want them there, and they want to make this relatable between the two of them.
Understand the other one too.
Right. Yeah.
It's just that what their main motivation is, they can't be on board with that because it conflicts with how to get their main goal.
Yes. It's really fun to watch banter between two people who are not exactly on the same page, but are close. And you can see the respect they have for each other and the reasons they want that person to relate to them more, or the way that they relate so well together because of very specific oddities of the two. They both are incredibly sarcastic, and they just think that there is no line in humor, and the other person understands that completely. There's just some relatable factor between the two of them that is what's so interesting to watch unfold. And that's so great with chemistry. It's like you watch that happen, and you watch somebody who does something that's a little bit off the wall or could be potentially awkward, and somebody else picks that up and follows right into suit. And that is so glorious to watch, because maybe you've grown attached to this quirky character, and then you have somebody else that has found the same plane of quirkiness. And it's like, oh, you found your people. And it's just great to watch that happen as well.
I think that mutual respect, I think it fits really well with protagonist and antagonist, but it also fits really well with one of my favorite romantic tropes ever, which is the love to hate, or hate to love. Sorry.
Hate to love, yes.
Love to hate. That's like me talking about the one craft book that I always call Skin the Cat. What's it called?
Oh, yes. Save the cat.
I have a lot of weird slips, guys. I don't know.
She does. I'm always like, it's not Skin the Cat. That is a totally different book. It's just not the one, my friend. It's not the one.
So clearly, character chemistries and all types of relationships and the protagonist, antagonist, the mutual respect. But I think the mutual respect is hugely important in romance as well. Because your romance, they don't always start out all swoony falling over each other. My favorites are when they can't stand each other to start off with, and they can't stand how much they respect something about them.
Yes. That is always super, super fun to play with this. When it's like, I want you to like me. Why can't we be friends? It's because we hate each other.
I don't want to like you.
Yes.
Why am I liking you?
So amazing how you can take a trope and you can just break it down into so many fun little personality traits in different ways that it's not just love to hate. They're all exactly the same. Oh, no. There's like 100 different ways you can play that love to hate or hate to love. See, now I'm doing it. Thanks a lot.
Totally seeped into your brain.
You did.
Dun, dun, dun.
I know. Gosh, it's just so fun to play with stuff like that and to be able to have these great banter conversation and this volley of whether it be insults or whether it be sarcasm or quirky conversations that people have. It's really great to be a fly on the wall for stuff like that.
So you've mentioned quirky conversations. Gosh, I feel like that's such a nebulous phrase.
It is.
So do I have to be super witty in order to write quirky conversations that demonstrate character chemistry? How do you use dialogue to show character chemistry?
I don't want to say yes, you totally have to be witty, but I kind of do at the same time. Because in a way you kind of do. You have to think of these conversations, this is my personal opinion, clearly, but you have to think of these different ways to create a conversation that is interesting. It can't be like, hi, how are you doing today? Well, I'm doing fine. How are you? Oh, I'm drinking tea. Oh, I love tea. Tea is great. Oh, well, I prefer coffee, but I have tea. Oh, I don't like coffee at all. Okay, well, that's just like a conversation, right? It's something that I feel like the best, wittiest, awesome chemistry banter comes from the conversation that you could have had with somebody, but you didn't think about it until later on. Does that make sense? It's like one of those things where it's like, oh, I wish I would have said that. What would have happened if you would have been able to say that right on the spot? You think of that witty thing later on and you go, boom, missed opportunity. Okay, well, maybe that was a missed opportunity and maybe something like that should go in the book.
Definitely. I find myself as a writer a lot of times. I will have, I don't know if anyone else does this, but if I'm super passionate or emotional about something that I'm dealing with in my life, I replay the conversation of how I'm going to talk to the person about it.
Yes.
If I'm upset, if I'm excited, if I don't know, there's other emotions. I don't know what they are. But if I'm some emotion, if I have some big emotion going on, I'm replaying the conversation of what I'm going to say to the person and how I'm going to interact. And so I totally get the picking out the best version. We get to do that as writers. And I kind of want to take witty out of dialogue and I kind of want to replace it with engaging.
Sure.
I think sometimes some of the stuff that really draws me in is stuff that's digging in deeper. When there's raw, deeper level emotions and stuff that's being exposed, that isn't something that happens in everyday life, right? We always all pretend everything is fine, everything is good, but I really like it when to expose a relationship between two characters, it's like you're in a therapy session and the therapist picks at the wound and all of a sudden everything erupts.
Yes.
I love that when it happens between two characters and you get to see all of the raw, unfiltered emotions that we keep in as humans because it's politically incorrect, it's society incorrect, it's relationship incorrect to let this stuff spew out everywhere, right?
Right.
So when I get to see characters spew all of this stuff out.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's like I'm ready to pop the popcorn.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, someone gets to finally do this. I don't get to, so I'm gonna just vicariously live through you. Do it.
Yes.
Do it.
That's a great way to put it. It is the vicariously living through another person. That is what writing is all about, I feel like, and reading. That's what reading's about. You're vicariously, living through somebody that you wish you would have said the right thing at the right time, or you wish that you had somebody understand that punchline and nobody did and there was crickets. What if you had somebody that would have been able to get that and it would have jumped back in with something and you know what they would have jumped back in with and that would have been the most glorious thing ever. And that is great chemistry and banter, is making these characters that I always feel like it's a chess game. It's 2 steps ahead. It's 4 steps ahead. What are you going to say next? What are you going to say next? Who's going to finish this line? Oh my God, we get each other. And I love that for character chemistry. It's just so much fun to play with.
There's another big point to character chemistry. I've been thinking about it. So the first one for me was characters that are relatable.
Yes.
And with them being relatable, they have to be believable in their actions after someone's related to them, right? Mm-hmm. So the next one for me is actually something that I have learned from the Doctor of Relationships, which is Poppy Minix.
Oh.
She is very much to me like the doctor of how people fit together and why. And I know she's like specifically focuses on romance relationships and stuff, but there's a lot of stuff I've learned in working with her and characters and stuff. And there's one thing that's really stuck out to me, and I've asked her several times. I've been like, hey, how do you know when these 2 characters are going to fit together and make a couple? How do you know when things are going to fit? And I think ultimately what I've been trying to ask her is, how do you define character chemistry? But I wasn't wording it right. It was always like, how do you know this couple's going to work? How is this believable? How does this work? And one thing that she's told me that's really stuck with me is this balance between positive and negatives. And it's this stacking of, and we've talked about it, when we're creating characters, your protagonist, your antagonist, your side characters, everyone has to have strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah.
Everyone does. Your hero has to have weaknesses. Your villain has to have strengths, things that are admirable, things they need to work on. So the thing with making a couple is that one's strengths is the other weakness. And if you get really deep down into it with a really good romantic match, it's usually deeper psychological issues that are strengths and weaknesses that make the most interesting discussions and matches. And I really want Poppy to run on that, but I'm going to do it after she runs on. I'm going to let her run on that because I have a really weird twist on it at the end. But go for it. Tell me about how you take positives and negatives and fit them together to make chemistry.
Oh, man. We have had this conversation a lot, but a long time ago.
To be fair, I did ask her beforehand. I said, hey, I have exampple and things I want to talk about. Do you want a heads up or do you want it in it? She's like, oh, no, just give it to me in the episode. Well, here you go, Poppy.
I'll know what to say. It'll be great. Yeah, Poppy. That was me making fun of myself right there. Yeah. Yes. Okay. So when your characters fit together, somebody's lacking.
Sorry, I'm totally feeling my wine. I am not peeing
I think
in
it's
the toilet.
Fantastic. That would be a very awkward podcast. It was like the Zoom meeting gone wrong.
Don't mind me peeing in the toilet. No, guys, right? I'm seriously filling my wine.
It's just wine, I promise. Yes, so fitting people together, you don't want it to be this damsel in distress situation or this guy that just can't get his stuff together and somebody has to fix him. That is not fun chemistry. That's, for me, I get annoyed with that. But I really do enjoy when somebody gets another person and can help them fight that inner demon, or like they're fine on their own, right? They are a full, complete person. They are human. They are navigating this world. They've got it. They know their strengths. They know their weaknesses. As an adult, typically, and it depends on what genre you're writing and it depends on what age range you're writing. But most adults, unless you're completely have your deny blinders on, you know what you're good at and what you're not good at. You have a pretty decent idea of it. So when you meet somebody that is overly good at something and you just kind of envy it, that can be a good chemistry moment too. I'm trying to think of, examples. Okay, let's think of like Friends. That was wonderful chemistry, the show Friends. You ended up with Monica, who was pretty much nearly OCD when it came to cleaning and was kind of neurotic when about so many different things, about it being organized, about everything being structured and everything being, and to pair her with somebody like Chandler who can just let it go. It's fine. Just let it go. And they had so many great banter moments and they inevitably ended up together, which was a really fun match because they were so very opposite and yet he calmed her down.
Couples.
They were great in that whole group. You know, he calmed her down and she basically helped him like get where he needed to be as well, because he was just sort of almost aloof in this world. And yeah, he had his stuff together and everything, and he got there eventually, but she would get him there on time. And it's like they both sort of don't necessarily change because they have to, but they change because it's a good human thing to do to get better and to evolve. And
they didn't change who they were, though.
They didn't change who they were. There was never a moment where it was like, I'm not good enough, or I need to change him because he doesn't work for me. That's not a good chemistry match for me. When romance does that, it makes me just want to dig my claws in and throw it across the room. I have a really hard time with people having to change somebody, or this person wasn't good enough in life, so they needed to be fixed. Nobody needs to be fixed. You just need to find somebody that matches you. And so being able to find that match that just understands and is not interested in you changing as a person, but really loves the really incredible things you are.
And wants to be your cheerleader to help you level up.
Exactly. It does lift them up in a positive, respectful, trusting way. And
I think that like savior coming in to fix something broken is definitely one of those negative tropes.
It is.
That I'm all for.
Some people love. I don't.
Tropes.
Yeah.
I would avoid that one like the plague.
Mm-hmm.
There's just no way not to make the broken person that's being saved and has to be fixed by the other character. There's no way to avoid the stereotypes that you're doing. Whoever your savior is, whatever stereotypes they are, whatever nationality, descriptions, whatever they are, and the person who's being fixed, those same descriptors, there's no way you're not saying a larger statement.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't know, there's so much changing in the industry and what's expected of us and what we want to see in our entertainment and everything. I think this is a great place to look at how we can do that.
Absolutely.
And that's by elevating these types of things, and there are some tropes that should be let go of, and this is one of them in my opinion.
Yeah, the fixer is just, I do not like the fixer. And it also makes them feel like they have a holier than thou attitude and that they're all perfect, and clearly they think that they are better than another person, and therefore the other person needs to learn from them. And for me, I really like books when that turns it around, when you have two characters like that, if there's banter between them where it's like, oh, well, the person who thinks they're holier than thou needs to fix everybody fails so miserably.
Now that I'm down
for. Hit rock bottom. And I am so down for that. I'm like, thank you. Thank you for falling in the mud, on your ass, upside down, and breaking your ankle. Cool. I'm okay with this now. Like, this is all right for me. And then that banter can really become something because the other one's like, oh, look at you now, all perfect down in your little mud puddle. Yeah. You know, and it's... You don't ever want to be like that because that's the whole I told you so kind of trope, which is not very much fun unless it's just hinted at. And then it is kind of funny because everybody can laugh at themselves sometimes when they're like, told you so. It's like, shut up. I did not. Whatever. I don't care.
I also I kind of want to talk about this concept with positive and negative chemistry match in a relationship. I kind of want to talk about how it's actually really an interesting aspect to add into a battle scene or a fight scene.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
So when you have two characters who are coming into a scene and they're partners and they're both the good guys and you have like a big battle, they both should have different strengths and different weaknesses, and they go really well together. So obviously, oh my God, I'm going to get so much hate mail for this. Guys, please love me. I had an example, but I feel like this other example fits so much better.
Uh-oh.
It's Lord of the Rings, and I'm going to say the elf and the dwarf.
I love them so much. Their chemistry together is fantastic.
I don't know. I think Legolas is the elf's name.
Oh my God, do you know their names? Shame on you.
Don't know the dwarfs.
Gimli and
Thank
Legolas.
you.
You're welcome.
This is why I'm going to get hate mails, because I don't know their names. But this is one of these things.
They're fantastic together.
Where, you're looking at character chemistry. And you're looking at, so obviously we know it matters in romance and the hate to love trope and all this stuff. But I think the hate to love trope actually fits for this relationship, this bromance we have going on.
Absolutely. They are like mortal enemies. It's fantastic.
Right? And in the fight scenes, we get to see that they are both completely competent in different ways.
Yes.
And so they both have huge strengths that are not the same as each other. And I think it's really great to bring in when you're looking at in a story where you have a team of heroes, a team of good guys, a team of protagonists, and how they fit together in those relationships. Not everyone can be the best sword wielder in the world.
Yes.
Right? We have to have, everyone has different skill sets. And some are better with the sword, some are better with the hammer, some are better with the parkour, some are better with...
Some are better in sprinting, some are not able to ride a horse, some... Yes, yeah, they are literally opposites when it comes to skill sets.
So the positive and negative, this concept works in all relationships that you're fitting together. You could even stack the odds against you when you're looking at a sidekick to a villain. Mm-hmm. And you can have the villain's super weaknesses are the sidekick's strengths, but the villain won't listen to him and hits him down every time. But you get, like, it still foils the weaknesses of the villain. Like, there's so many things you can do with this positive and negative relationship. And I also wanted to highlight, it's kind of out there and weird, but a relationship between a human and an animal. So, like in the R. Salvador series, the Driz series, I know, I love him. I've talked about him before. It's great, though, because Driz he has a Black Panther that's like his sidekick. Mm-hmm. Obviously, there's not any dialogue you can play on for wit or banter, but in the action sequences, the way they work in tandem and the way they understand each other and work better together.
Yep.
Better together.
Yes, that is it right there. It is the better together. I like that a lot for chemistry.
And no one had to change who they are. The panther didn't have to be a panther. The elf didn't have to be an elf. The dwarf didn't have to be a dwarf.
Yep.
Whatever the scenario, they are who they are. And it's because of who they are that made them fit so well into the relationship.
Yes.
They didn't have to change to fit the relationship. Who they were made them this perfect little jagged puzzle piece that was exactly what fit in.
Yes.
And I think that goes back to believability.
Mm-hmm.
To whatever you set up for this character, whatever core you set up in the beginning, it has to hold true to the end, and it has to hold true through the conflicts, and it has to hold true through the arcs, not just the plot arcs and not just the individual character arcs, but the relationship arcs.
Yes.
I know. Please don't freak out. There are so many arcs. I totally get it. But you totally should have relationship arcs in your book. And character chemistry is a huge part in every single one. That has to be considered.
I agree with you. That actually leads into my very huge second chemistry point.
Let's hear it.
That I was thinking about so hard. I've been thinking about this for like days because chemistry is one of those where it is difficult to sort of, and we've voiced some good ones. I really like the idea of, I like the fit and thinking about it more. You're right. That's a big one for me. But for me, I find myself always looking at scenes and looking at conversations, and what makes it so enthralling for me is that it changes something or it moves something forward. So I'm always looking when you're reading. It can't just be living in a moment, doop-de-de-doop, things are happening, but it's not really moving anything forward. It's just chilling and having a conversation and whatever, they're eating a chicken. Okay, so that's just filler for me. I want to know what the heck is happening. And I always feel like good chemistry between two people, something shifts and something changes and something moves forward. And so every time something like that happens, if you have a character that is just a plot pusher, or you have somebody that comes in and they're just poking and they're doing something, you know that it's going to change something with your protagonist, or you know it's going to move some kind of plot point forward and make an action happen. And that's the chemistry that I'm looking for. I'm always looking for what's going to happen. When are they going to come back on the scene and do this again? Because I know it's going to move something forward for me. And that is chemistry for me sometimes, is I'm looking for it to alter, or to give me more of the story, or to give me some backstory, or something as big is going to change and alter in some way and help my brain figure out this entire story.
You know, and I almost feel like it's kind of like a circular discussion, because when you're looking at a character that comes in and is doing the poking, and there's a relationship there between them, they're often poking at a weakness that's their strength. So we're going circular right back to the strengths and the weaknesses. Yes. So if the side character is there and is poking at your protagonist they're probably poking at a weakness that the protagonist doesn't want poked at.
Yes.
But because they are there and poking at it, something is going to explode. Like I talked before, it's like this therapy session that's just, fine, you want it? Here's all of it. Rah!
Yeah.
And that's...
Thank you for that.
But
Right.
most of the time, whatever they're poking at, the poker, that's their strength, and they've caught the weakness.
Yes.
Sometimes it's malicious, sometimes it's playful, sometimes it's actually a way where I'm trying to help you. Like, you need to deal with this. Can we stop ignoring the elephant in the room?
Right.
I love you. This elephant's going to trample on you. We have to address this.
We have to move this forward. There's something going on here that needs to be out in the open. Let's do this. I'm always looking for those characters that move something forward.
You know, it almost makes me wonder if there should be a relationship in a story that the positive and negative traits that align hit the theme. And I don't think it always has to be the protagonist and antagonist.
I agree.
We were just talking about before with the protagonist and their best friend or their whatever. Sorry, guys. I have a husband and 2 children who
People
are
that live in your house.
obsessed.
Imagine that.
With their all being on the same server for Minecraft, so they have to be in the room right next to me. And I have a really, really old house, so when the door is open, you hear them. That was a door opening. Even though I have like foam taped all over every wall in this room. We're not going to talk about it. We're not going to talk about it.
You just can't stop the door sounds.
Yeah.
It's okay.
No, it's okay. So we're going back to poking at and be creative with it. Sometimes the reveal, if the most important relationship in the book isn't the protagonist and antagonist, maybe it's a romantic one, maybe it's a best friend one. Whatever the most important relationship in the book is, I think it should be tied with the theme and the bigger message you're trying to deliver.
I can see that, definitely. I like that. You should learn something from banter as well. I mean, it should, and not just banter, but chemistry. There should be something between them that's unveiling and showing what's happening and showing the flaws or the mission or what needs to be fixed to do whatever to get your
whatever
arcs where they need to be
tackled.
Exactly. You know, those are good, really great moments, and having it be fun and witty and poking at each other or understanding each other's flaws and strengths is, I don't know, everybody loves watching stuff like that. And you love sitting back and watching people have conversations and what makes that so interesting. And there'll be, I don't know, I really enjoy seeing people interact. And you can just tell when there are 2 people interacting anywhere you go. If you are going out to a restaurant and you see friends at the bar and you just see 2 people that just clearly either don't like each other or don't like each other but totally do. It's just really great to watch the body language. It doesn't always have to be verbal. The glares at each other. If somebody said something positive to that person, the other one's just like, ugh. That can be chemistry too. It doesn't always have to be this banter. It doesn't always have to be verbal. It can be a physical, you just know what they're saying in their head. And that's really great as a side character to watch and have your protagonist really dive in and be interested to, or jump into it and start their own chemistry with the 2 of them and try to monitor and push conversations where they need to go. I really love all that stuff.
I love it too. And I think I have 2 things that I think are essential in any type of relationship for character chemistry. So I think the most first one comes from Poppy, and that's respect. There has to be a respect. So, I mean, if we're just going to hold true here and we're going to talk about, am I saying Legolas right? Is it Legolas? Legolas and Gimli?
Gimli.
Oh my god, I'm gonna have so much hate mail.
Fantasy fans are coming for you.
And I'm a fantasy reader and writer.
You
this
are.
Is really bad. Okay,
man.
But there's respect.
There
is this underlining respect, right?
Whatever. Prove it during it, but yes, it's there. It's like, damn it, you're good at this. Oh, now we need to compete.
So good at it, I have to like push myself to be better. So there's like this respect, and even I think there's respect in all of the best type of romances.
Yes.
All of the best friendships, even if they're not hate to love, even if they're just good friendships, there's respect. Meredith and Christina respect the shit out of each other.
Yes.
So I think that Poppy's straight on with that. The second one I want to add in is believability.
I really like that. Yes.
So I feel like the character has to be believable in their reactions to the other and in their relationship. They have to hold true to whatever you've set them up to be and their core beliefs and values, and reactions have to be consistent. They can't change in order to make the relationship work. And the reason is because if you have a good character, people are going to relate to them. And if you make them do things that are unbelievable to their character, the people who related to the character are probably not only going to stop reading, they're just going to be pissed. Let's just face facts here. That's how you really piss off readers, viewers, whatever. I mean, look at Game of Thrones. I have not read them, and I do not watch the TV show. I totally support everyone who does.
Yep.
I can't handle that type of heartache. But I think the amount of backlash I heard from inconsistency and characters changing and things happening in the end was just outrageous. I don't know. I guess they can say there's no such thing as bad press, but I sure as heck don't want a bunch of haters on my stuff.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. It's good thoughts. All right.
Any other thoughts on character chemistry, Poppy?
Okay, so quick note on romance in particular. Even if it's hate to love, there does need to be friendship that forms. And also, they should like each other. If you start out in a hate to love, or if you, well, yeah, let's just say that. If you start out in a hate to love, they have to eventually like each other. So getting toward those chemistry moments doesn't mean you need to stay in mean, vicious banter the entire time, because then people will wonder why the heck these people are together. It should evolve, and banter can evolve, and chemistry can evolve as well. And it just adds a new facet into the human experience. These are real people. And so if you have conversations with real people and you talk to them and you're writing these people, there needs to be an evolution to their conversations to move your plot and to make sure your arcs are covered as you go and make sure they close down correctly. And that goes along with the respect as well. But there should be something that forms between them that brings them closer together.
I agree. So we've talked about some of our favorite chemistry couples. I want to hear from everyone else as our challenge. I want to hear what other favorite couples are. It can be romantic, it can be friendship, it can be protagonist and antagonist. I want to know what some of your favorite relationships are. That push-pull that you have to see what the other's going to do. You have to see how the relationship turns out. I mean, you can be looking at Vicious by V.E. Schwab and got two villains here competing against each other. And the whole book is you have to see who wins, who ends up on top.
Yeah.
I want to hear more of those. I want to hear more of the relationships. There was the relationship between two characters that made you not able to put the book down.
I love those page turners. You just can't stop. Those are awesome.
Tell us what they are.
Yes.
All right. And in the meantime, keep punching the keys, or we will yell at you through a microphone in a distant computer.
Yes. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll make a new pep talk or something and be like, we're mad at you for not punching the keys, so you better go punch them.
Punch the keys. Make your relationships believable. Make them respectful.
Make us proud.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us. And if you liked this episode, please subscribe and give us that clickable 5-star love.
Got writer questions or feedback? Reach out through our website. And until next time, make sure to punch the keys.